the beginning, our idea was, okay, we will build up this community online, and Lavinia had different meetings, Skype meetings with the group, and the different millennials were matched to mentors, to actual journalists, and there was a 2-round feedback going on for every article which has been published on the website. And since we both felt, it would be good to meet these people who have been working so hard with us and for us throughout the year, we decided that we will make you part of this Focus Marathon as physical presences, and also to give you a voice here in the panel. And I'm really happy that 4 of you decided to join us, and I'm sure that the other ones in the audience will join with questions and comments and add-ons. And as I said, we had different topics, and the most applied to topic was migration. So somehow we could see that migration, moving in this fast developing world seemed to be the most appealing topic. And I would like to break this very global and challenging topic down to a personal level. And I would like to ask you to introduce yourselves and to share your personal migrating experience, please.
So I think I speak for all the millennials here, and we'd like to thank you for having us here and for this project, for this opportunity to write articles and to hear these talks for today. So first, let me have an introduction of myself. I am Theodor Telerge. I am 21 years old. My English is not so good because of various reasons, but I'm studying in I'm studying in Germany. I come from Bucharest, and I'm studying in Bonn political science and social science with philosophy. And yeah, why? So should I talk also about my migrating experience directly, or just introduce myself shortly?
Ask your colleagues, maybe.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
You can talk.
I can talk.
Yes,
Okay, okay,
yes,
okay.
you can talk.
Okay, it's no problem. I like to talk.
We can introduce ourselves later.
Okay, no problem. So, why did I get to go to Germany? Well, I've been studying at a German Goethe College here in Bucharest, and for us here it's like normal, like we think like this, like Romania, okay, like if you don't get out of here, then you haven't achieved something in life. It's a really elitistic point of view, but it's the truth, actually. And I think in more than just my high school was this the question, like to go out. A lot of people go out, like it was this wave of going out from people to go to Germany, to England, or to other countries to study. But now I think people now are, I mean, younger generation, I see they're not so much going out. For myself, it was like, okay, I was in the 12th grade, and okay, do I move out? Do I stay here? I wanted to study here first, but then I applied for the scholarship in Germany, and I had very much luck to get it, and I went to Bonn one of a sudden. And it was like kind of honeymoon period at first. It was, oh my God, I'm in Germany, so many castles, so many, I mean, in Bonn it's the Rhine, it's very nice, the people are nice, so many different cultures, I can eat so much different food, and yeah, so like, so many, of course, I mean, I'm a boy, I mean, so many different girls from different nations, it was really cool, okay? And then I started to think, okay, maybe it's not so bad actually going in another country after all. But then, of course, like migrating, I was on my own. I had to do everything what my parents did for myself, and that's when the honeymoon started to break, and I started to see, okay, I also have to learn. I have to do the chores and everything for myself, and I also have to like have a social life here. And the problem was for me at first that I could get along with Germans, but it was difficult. But it was difficult because at first I didn't actually listen to them. I was just like in my kind of bubble, like, okay, I'm a Romanian, you're a German, okay. But then I actually managed, okay, maybe I can meet this person beyond being just like, there's just a German and not just a German. There are people in front of me. Maybe I start to understand why they're like this, because in Romania we say maybe Germans are a little bit colder. And maybe I can understand why they're a bit colder. There are different type of personalities, of characters, and how to get on the same level as them, how to get on the same page to do same things. Like before I went to Germany, I never cooked with someone, but in Germany it's really casual. Like we meet with friends, we cook something, and then there's some vegan friends. In Romania there's no such thing like vegan friends, and it's really cool. Or maybe we go to a protest together. In Romania there's no such thing like let's go to protest together. Maybe in the recent time, yes, but I mean before, no such thing. But I really enjoyed it, like going to protest, maybe not knowing exactly what the protest is, but my friends were cool, so I also went. And it was really nice, like political, everywhere you see is political opinions, and everywhere you look, it's people who know what they stand for. And that's what I really started to get about the Germans, like to really appreciate about them. And I can think that I made some of these qualities. I hope I made some of these qualities for myself now, and I can also say that I've Germanized a bit myself. So in order to be part of the community in Germany, yes, and for my family, it was like first it was something like, yeah, of course you're going to another country. It should be better for you there, and of course it's of course you have to adapt there. But they couldn't actually understand because no one in my family before me actually went to out of Romania to study, because I come from I think much of the Romanians come from actually from a rather relative poor family, and my father actually grew up on a farm in northern of Romania, and they were raised in communism, and the whole thing they thought about was, okay, you go outside, but you couldn't but so
can I ask you a question? So the migration experience of your parents was from the countryside to the big city.
From countryside to the big city,
which is a big shock, no?
Yeah, it's a big shock, but yes, that's true. But I don't think I should elaborate on this topic right now. I'm sorry, but what I'm saying is like they always thought to me, okay, you go outside. So like they had this expectation of me, and I very often questioned myself: is it good? Is it bad? But now, after some time, I thought it's like really cool that they put this ambition in me to go out and see what is out there, because I think it's not bad to stay here either. But if they could give me this ambition to go out and see for myself and make for myself a living, and to learn to be on myself, like just on myself, and no other friends in a city where it's foreign, and I don't know where I can start from the beginning, and I have to think for myself, how do I adapt here? Where do I buy things? Where do I pay things? Where do I make friends?
So this sounds very much like from where to how to.
Yes.
Can I ask you to introduce yourself
Yes.
and to share your migrating experience?
I am Lavinia Lietze. For the Germans one, Lita, because you can't speak my name. I am 19 years old. I just started my studies here in Bucharest. I'm from Iași, and I'm studying German and Russian literature. And migration has played a very big and important part in my life since I know myself, because my parents have been working since I was born in Germany. So since I was little, I went every summer to Germany. They are living on an island. It's called Borkum in North. And it was really nice to go there every summer. So I thought in the 8th grade, why not move there? So in the 8th grade, I moved to Germany, and at first it was really confusing. So I knew how to talk to people, but in school it was so hard because to learn everything in German, like chemistry and physics and everything, and you translate everything in German, like even oxygen is translated to Sauerstoff, and I had to learn that. And after a while, I started to speak and write better, and it was okay. But it was really hard moving from a big city like Iași to an island. And in winter, it was really cold, and nobody but the locals were there. So it was really hard for me to live there. So in the 9th grade, in the second semester, I came back to Romania. So I migrated again. And I finished my high school here in Romania in Iași, and after that, I actually didn't want to leave the country again. Maybe because I was a little bit afraid, but maybe because I actually really like to live in Romania, and I really like Bucharest. Since I've been here for a week now, and I really love the city and the people and the Goethe Institute. And in the last 3 days, I have spoken more German than Romanian, so... I don't know now if I want to go in the future again in other countries, but I am sure that I will go with Erasmus and other projects for a few months. I'm sure I'll go, but I don't think I will want to move again. That's it. You can speak now.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this with us. Yes, and I would like to ask you to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Sherban Busiok. I'm 26. I had my birthday yesterday. I'm a translator. I did a bachelor's here in Bucharest and a master's in Vienna. And it was German for me was really a foreign tongue. I started learning German in school, in university. And then I went for an Erasmus scholarship in Cologne, and I remember the shock I had in the airport when somebody spoke to me in German, and I suddenly thought, okay, this language actually exists outside my books, and people actually speak it, and I have to speak it as well now. And I was, because up to that point, it was basically a couple of rules I had learned from my professors at uni, and it wasn't much more than that. But I realized that it was a whole culture, a whole other set of values I had to contend with, and it was really, really different. It was really, as a translator, I had to do this. It wasn't that I was forced, but my parents actually, like Theodore's parents, always encouraged me to go abroad and study and move from my hometown, because I'm not from Bucharest. I think it's a Romanian thing and it's pretty sad as well, that we're encouraged to go abroad to actually make a living, and few people actually return. My parents are also from the countryside, so that kind of encouraged them to encourage me further to better myself.
Actually, these stories remind me of what was her name? Michaela Mitroy shared with us today in the morning when she was talking about the Grundeinkommen, the general income. And I don't know if you remember her slide when she shared the experiment from Kenya, and where she explained to us that the parents, the people who received a very small support, but still a financial support, that they invested all of it in the future of their children. And I have the impression that here in Romania we are kind of at the threshold, like you are these children. Your parents invested into your education, into your well-being, into your upbringing, and you decided to go to Germany. I think this is no coincidence since we are in the Goethe Institute, and of course our projects are in German language, but I know that you can find many similar examples of people from Romania who went to other Western European countries. In the next round, I would like to ask your viewpoint how this can be seen on a broader social level, because I think that personal experience, which is not a single experience, and as you mentioned in your school, everyone was just thinking about once we finish school, we are going to leave the country, and which impact does this migrating behavior have on the society? What do you expect? Here again, what is your idea on society, but also on your personal level? I mean, you have seen both worlds. You have seen that there's good and bad everywhere. And I think this coming back, this balancing act, could also be very interesting.
Yes. If I can speak first, is it
Yes,
okay?
you can.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Yeah. So like, at first I thought like I have to Germanize myself. It's totally. I don't have to go back to my Romanian roots at all. But it's like, you're born Romanian. You can take. You can take some of the socializations that are in yourself, like some kinds of habits. You can take them out. So you have to look for. It's normal. You don't have to, but it's normal to look for other Romanians or for other Eastern Europeans people to meet there. Of course, not everyone you meet there will be okay, because not everyone is a student there. There are a lot of people who go there for work or for I don't know. For business or for something like this, or for even worse, which I would not like to say. And yeah. And of course, not everyone you will meet, and as a Romanian, will be okay. But there's also a lot of students there. For example, I'm in touch with there's a group of Romanian students abroad, and it's worldwide. And I think this is like the future of migration, to see that also the government where you came from does something for you, like helps you to keep in touch with the culture you came from, but also the government you are, like in Germany, it also helps you being part of the community there. It accepts you, it accepts that you're maybe a little bit different, it gives you time to adapt, and then you find people. You find people who are like, I found, okay, it took a year, but after a year I found, because Bonn is not so sought for, not so many people from Romania come to Bonn. It's not such a big city, and it's not the capital anymore. But after a while I found people, and they were nice. They were studying, they were not studying the same subject as I, and it was really interesting, because now I'm not in a bubble of like political sciences people. I also know people who study medicine, people who study chemistry or something, and yeah, it's nice, because I keep in touch. I feel like I can go to Germany, and I know there's this society of Romanian students. Whenever I feel the need to talk Romanian or to communicate in the Romanian way, if you want to say like this. But for the most of the time, I just keep on practicing my German and my German communication skills. And I think this is like normal nowadays, to have small communities, small minorities everywhere you go. I don't think like, of course, the politics, the populists are always saying like minorities are bad for this, bad for that. And in the past, migration was seen bad, but nowadays I think it's normal for people to move to one place or another, because there you have more human rights, there you have more money, there you have more sun, there you have more winter. It's everyone who should move should be free to move. I mean, Why not? Because even if it's a little bit hard, of course, and maybe the government doesn't support you so much or like this, there's also like social action that you can take, like organize yourself. That's what I learned in Germany, for example, because this organization of students abroad was like built on a German model of organizing themselves. And it's a typical democratical thing. And okay, I'm a political student, but I think you should know that it's a typical democratical thing, and it's a good thing to organize yourselves if you're a minority wherever you are, and to demand rights for yourself, and to demand to be seen, and to hold some short festivities, which would help you keep in touch with your culture.
Thank you. For the next round, I ask you to think already now which impact has this German experience on what you are doing in Romania. What are you bringing back, playing back to Romania? But first, I would like to hear also your ideas on the social impact of migrating.
I was actually talking about this with the other colleagues the other day. Like, we're the first generation that has this opportunity to travel everywhere. And we should really see this as an opportunity, because our parents couldn't have done that. And we are actually the first who can learn about other countries from other countries and from the people that are there. And that's really something that's fantastic. Like, we are here, people from Germany and Romania, and when we can learn from each other and evolve together and do a lot of projects that are really interesting, like Fokus and the other projects that Goethe has. And I think it's something really good, because we now can learn so much. I have friends that have now gone to other countries. Like, I have a friend in Scotland, and I have a friend that has taken a free year to go to as many countries as she can. And it's really interesting when you meet with them after a while that everyone has new stories, and that's really something that you can't learn from books. You just learn from people, and I think we should really appreciate that we have that now.
Thank you, and I would like you to think about how these connections could evolve in the near future, let's say in the next 5 years.
Okay.
Right. I think for Romania at the moment, migration is kind of twofold. It's both negative and positive. It's negative because it's in a way a necessary evil. It's seen as a brain drain, so to speak, by some people, because the Romanian diaspora is huge now. It numbers at, I think, 5 million Romanians abroad, which is basically, I don't know, a quarter of the whole population is living abroad, which is basically leaves us with 3/4 of the population living here. Their whole villages of people who are living abroad there. I mean, I've seen a statistic that said that basically every year a city in Romania is disappearing. It just moves abroad, which is, negative in the short term. But I think in the long term, it will be a really, really big influx of people if they have the conditions to return to Romania. I think it'll be a really big influx of people who come back with the things they learned abroad, and it'll be a massive, how should I put it, injection of, I won't say civilization, but an afflux of new ideas. Thank you. Which I think it's really positive in the long term. It's a necessary evil.
I'm always wondering which other influx could come to Romania. I don't know if you are familiar with the fact that the Romanian government concluded a treaty with Pakistan to import workforce from Pakistan. I see some people nodding. Does anyone know the numbers? I forgot the numbers in the audience. Anyone? You can check, Lawrence? Yes. Also with Vietnam. So I think migrational balance which we are seeing in Romania right now could change in many different ways. Now I would like to take a last round. I give every one of you a thinking question, and then I would like to invite you, the public, to join the discussion.
Okay, so you asked me to think about what can I bring back to Romania, am I right? Okay, so I think if I went to...
What can you, what could you bring in the future? And I know, since I know you, that you are already bringing things back to Romania. So I would like also to talk about the things which are really done, not only theoretically, maybe one day, but what is happening now?
Okay, so on first I would talk about a bit about my other experience with Goethe Institute. It was really nice. So I remember a year ago there was this whole new center of the Goethe Institute was not built yet, and they had here a really nice project fair. And there were a lot of ideas there, and I just pitched one of them. I just thought of this idea of German MUN, like Model United Nations, like German debate, a debate in the German language, like the European Parliament. And I was thinking, like, how does this work? I was really confused at first. Will they help us? Will they give us money? But after a while, we just like wrote the project. We gave the Goethe Institute the project, and they really helped us. And they said us, okay, you can do this. And we were like, oh, really? Okay. So because a lot of my other colleagues, Romanian colleagues, I'm sadly to say, they didn't took it seriously. But me and other two girls who are also studying something related to politics, they took it seriously, and we are actually doing this project where we teach. We've done only one run of this, but we are thinking of doing this again, and we're thinking of going into schools to organize debates with not children, they are students in high school, yeah, I think, and they have to have quite a good German language skill, because we need them to talk about things like property rights, or about big data in Europe, or about migration, or a lot of topics that are relevant in the western of Europe. A lot of topics that are taught in the heart of the Europe, and we are trying to get them here. So what I am trying to say is, like, going to Germany and going to other countries is helping you realize in what a political constellation you are. I, for myself, went in Germany and I realized I'm in Europe. Europe is a much battlement it's like a house that's much more solid than people in Romania like to think, and that I can bring this knowledge to the other people, and I can bring my enthusiasm for Europe and for the European values here, and that young people are really liking this, because who cannot like freedom of rights, freedom of movement, and no border. I mean, it's like globalization just in Europe, and it's like really cool. And I would also like to say a short about this league, what we've been doing. We've also organized a lot of meetings of Romanians who are just like not only from Germany, also from China or from Russia, for like countries who are not so democratic. But it's really interesting to see what their experience they've brought. And of course, they all brought some experience, and then we meet. We try to meet once a year and to organize ourselves and to help the Romanian society to build a civic culture here, to have punctuality more, because that's a bad topic here in Romania. To have to make stuff to happen, like someone said here before, like not to be static, to be on the move, to help things to be done. Yes.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure you will keep it up. And I'm really curious to see where things will be taken 5 years from here.
You asked me how I think these connections could evolve in the future. Well, I thought of two things. Firstly, I have seen in the last days that people that come from different countries come with different perspectives, and that's really great when you put them together, because I don't know, great ideas can evolve from that. And I'm thinking that in the future these connections could start a lot of new projects like this one was, which is really great for international exchanges. And I also thought that in the future this connection about I start talking in German, I don't know why.
Maybe you are tired. It's the marathon, no?
So I speak in English and then a German word comes out. Yes, I was thinking about businesses, maybe, you know, international businesses that need to be made with people from different countries, otherwise you can't start them.
Thank you. I know I didn't. Did I give you a question?
No, but
No.
I'll answer his
Yes,
question because I
thank
think
you.
it's what I think I brought isn't necessarily a project or anything like that. It's a feeling I had in Germany, which I don't have in Romania. A feeling of being safe, a feeling of, it wasn't necessarily the fact that buses arrive at the time they're supposed to arrive, or that trains aren't delayed, or that's whatever else. It's a feeling of being safe if something happens. For instance, if I get sick, I know I'm safe. If I go to the hospital, I don't have to bribe doctors to be taken care of. I don't have to call my mom to bring me food because the food in the hospital is uneatable. And before I went to Germany, I mean, I knew it in theory. I knew it was possible, but I didn't experience it. And now I know it's possible, and I'm trying to, well, I'm doing my best to make sure that it happens here as well.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually joined a party here. I won't say which. But it has a name derived from maths. And yeah, and I'm doing my best. It kinda encouraged me to do this, because I as I've said, I didn't know that it was possible to feel that safe, and now it's kinda addicting.
So would you say your parents did everything to give you education, to invest in your future by educating you, and you are trying for the next generation to make a safer place?
Exactly.
Is this
Not for the next generation, for every generation. For my parents as well, because my parents will hopefully live for a long time if I do this, and if they don't go into the hospital now. I know how it looks, and I know for non-Romanians around us, I don't think they know, or they know from movies what that's like. And even, well, I mean, I have relatives living in the countryside. And again, for non-Romanians here, the Romanian villages aren't like German villages. It's medieval, to say the least. So, I mean, it's something I'm trying to do, and I don't think I could have done it without this experience.
Thank you for sharing this, and I would like to invite you to address further questions to our representatives of the millennials, or the other millennials to add their thoughts. And please, someone put the temperature up. I'm going to freeze.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for the nice introductions. I have one question. As my sister, she's living in Germany since 2010. She's already German citizen. She's married with a German man. And I've noticed for the past years that they are doing significant changes in their lives regarding the limitations that they are self-imposing to their lifestyle. Like, for example, besides the outside the long travels, so in Asia or whatever, they are trying to use the train as much as possible. They don't have a car, even if they already have a family. They are renting car or sharing cars with their friends. They are not spending too much money on clothing and stuff like that. You are coming from a generation where, as you mentioned, we had the opportunity to travel more than our parents, to buy more, to have fun more. How do you feel about those limitations, and what type of, I don't know, sacrifices are you doing in your daily life?
If I could ask answer. So like, I think it's necessary. That's like two different topics we are talking about. You asked me about this limitation, and freedom of migration is not the same as the limitation to impose on yourself to be healthy. I, for myself, what I think about what you explained to me is like that has to do with climate change, and what other limitations I know is like here in which you didn't mention, but for example here in Eastern Europe there's a lot of problem with bad eating, with unhealthy eating. That's also very good, and also with traveling. That's also okay. That's maybe, I think of it a bit not necessarily. I think it's like if you have the money, you travel. But of course, you can't like import it to Romania if you don't have the money. But it's good to experience other cultures. I think I would like. I see. I mean, when I come here back to Romania and I talk to my other colleagues who remain here, they also and I explain to them, look how cool it was in Germany. Look how cool it was in France or in Brussels where I went, and they say to me, cool, maybe I want to visit this too. So like what I'm thinking about is, I think I'm importing them, and I think these limitations which you are talking to me about are just a cultural thing. I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay. So maybe what it's not visible for the Romanians here is that in Germany there are many young people who have the financial opportunities to travel more, to spend more, but they don't do that. So this is why I'm asking you if you think that your generation, no matter if they already migrated or if they remain in Romania, if your generation is prepared to do those type of sacrifices.
Of course it is. If this is the standard now, I think it's like with the internet and everything, we are.
Maybe I can rephrase your question. If you should go to Timișoara and you can take a plane, or you could take a long train ride. Right? This is your question.
Yes.
I think it's even more fun to take the train. So I always take the train to Bucharest, even though it's a 7-hour ride. But I always make new friends on the train. So on my last ride, I made 5 new friends that I now go out in Bucharest with. So yes, I think we're prepared, and I think it's even better to do that. So yeah, I think we're...
For you, Shaban?
I'm not gonna make any friends, but I would take the plane. Now, seriously, I'm putting my life in danger on Romanian roads. I'm adding to traffic, which isn't the best way to avoid climate change. And I don't think that, in Germany, it is feasible to take the train. It is feasible because they have good roads, good motorways. You can get somewhere safe in a respectable amount of time. So to speak, you don't need 9 hours for 10 kilometers.
I think you're a little bit pessimistic.
No, but
from my point of view.
Maybe, yeah. But it would depend on the amount of time I have, but that's...
Maybe this could be a question also for the other millennials in the group who are not sitting here, right?
Yes, it could be.
Maybe you could hand the microphone. You have the power. And
Thanks. I think it's hard to explain or answer the question because I'm from Hamburg. I'm living there. I grow up there, so I know more the western part of Germany than the eastern part. But I think there's a difference between the millennials. Like some of us, like Fridays for Future, for example, they will definitely take the train, even though you need like 10 hours to get from Hamburg to Berlin, because German trains are really, really bad. And yes, and others would like just take the plane because it's cheaper, because it's faster, because it's way easier to get on the plane and get to Berlin than taking the train, which is super delayed. So I think it's divided in our generation, like between the ones who like life to be super easy and super relaxed for them, so they don't have to stress about anything, and between the ones who care about the planet, who care about more than themselves, and who take like the longer way to get there, who take the train to meet new people. So yeah, I would like to take the train, but first of all, it's super it's very expensive. Our train system is very, very expensive. It's way cheaper to take.
That's a very
plane.
good thing about Romanian trains, right?
We
As
don't pay
students?
anything as students.
Students ride for free.
Okay, I'm gonna move here. Like, yes, that's the problem, but that's the problem with our mobile system, our connection within Germany to get from one city to each other, and somehow between our education, because when I was back in school, we didn't talk about the climate change. We didn't talk much about how planes affect the carbon footprint. We more talked about how easy it is. We talked just basically about the transportation and the differences, but not about the effect at all. So it's also an educational problem. Maybe it's only my school, I don't know. Maybe it's around all Germany, because I haven't visited all cities so far. And yes, it's also divided within the different areas in Germany. Like when you're from Hamburg, you have a different view on the world and everything. Like when you're in Berlin or when you're in Munich and everything. So I think it's really hard to explain how we would see the problem and solve it than others. I don't know.
Anyone else from the millennials group would like to add?
I think I would agree, but I don't think it's that big of a difference whether you live in Munich or in Hamburg. It's a big difference whether you live in Hamburg or somewhere completely on the countryside. And I think that might be similar to Romania, I'm not sure, on another level. But for some people, they have to use a car. There's no way they would get around if they hadn't had a car. So I think, and lots of people who do live on the countryside, those are the ones who have jobs that are less paid. Those are the ones who might have, I don't want to generalize, but in general, you can say so. Those are the ones who might have not gotten such a good education. And those are also the ones who have a hard time understanding this, or who refuse to understand that just because they have way bigger problems, because they don't have enough money. I think all of what I say now, all of this is not is such a big thing as it is here in Romania, but still, in terms of whether or not people are willing to sacrifice, it depends on you as a person. There's no simple answer to that, and I think a lot of millennials are aware of the problems, and then they still wouldn't behave in any other way. There are people who are aware of, and so they change their behavior, and there are people who aren't aware of, whether for various reasons. And so we're not a homogeneous bubble of people, so everyone is just different.
If I may, I think the short answer would be you can't expect people to move away from something if you don't give them an alternative. Basically, I studied in Vienna. When I went to Vienna, I could choose between a 24-hour train ride or a 1.5-hour plane ride. What would you have chosen? I mean, and the thing is, half the distance was in Romania. When you got out of Romania, it took basically 4 hours from the border to Vienna. The rest of 22 hours were basically from Bucharest to Timișoara and the border, which is, I mean, I'm up for climate protection and moving away from planes and moving on trains, but you can't expect people to make this kind of choice when they are put in front of this much amount of disparity, so to speak.
I think this depends on too many things, like how much time you have. Like, I travel by train because I usually have more time, but if I have to do something and I have really little time, then I will take the plane too. It depends on time, on money, on too many things. It doesn't depend on us millennials or on something. It depends on other things that I don't think matter right now.
Not something only for millennials, but as he mentioned, the alternatives. I understood that in Germany there are many corporations who started to give one additional day off if the people are taking the train to go in holiday. And that could be a good start. I mean, also for here, not only in Germany.
There is a question, like, yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's not a question. I just wanted to edit something to this subject. And I think that people who decide not to use a car in order to fight against climate change or anything like that, if it's a self-imposed limitation, so that I don't think it should be perceived as a limitation. And on the other hand, millennials I'm a millennial too. I'm living in Romania, but I got the chance to travel a bit and to get in touch with different cultures. But if we think at millennials that live in the countryside in Romania, and that's the majority of millennials in Romania, it's their dream to fly, to use a plane. So, I think there are different issues with that and how they perceive the future, because they surely have a different view on it, and their migration is from the countryside to the closest city to do their studies there, and I just view on that.
Do we have any more questions, add-ons? Then I would like to invite you to give us, we come back from the topic of migrating, limiting ourselves or not, to the project Fokus per Germana, Millennials im Fokus. And I do know that you had a big session yesterday when your marathon already started, first on Thursday evening and then yesterday all day. You were working on how to proceed with the project, and I didn't have time to really discuss this with you, but I'm very curious about what the outcome of your workshop yesterday was, and I would like to invite you to share your ideas how we should go on with our project.
I think Theodor would like to start.
Okay.
Oh, wow, Lavinia. But Lavinia, we will work on this. You remember this morning, Alex shared with us believing in the empowerment of women.
Yes.
I strongly believe in this. So next time, when we are sitting here, you will start.
Okay, next time.
Next time.
Okay, so thank you, Lavinia. I don't have so much to say because I didn't took a charge in this project, but we kind of I think it was really cool to meet people from Germany and from Romania to go together and to write articles, and we organized ourselves, and we try now to build we chose our subject for the next year, and it was really nice speaking and writing about stuff and knowing that someone actually cares about it, because all of us who are in the project, we like to write, But the thing that someone is interested in about hearing our voice, that's really nice, because I read the papers and it's all old people for me. I'm sorry.
So before we met each other, when did we meet each other? 2
A
days
year
ago.
ago.
No.
Okay,
Before we met each other in person, it was like everybody wrote their article, and we didn't actually communicate too much with each other. But when we met each other here in Goethe Institute, it was really, really nice, because I think I speak for all when I say that we became friends, and everybody came with new ideas, and it was really so interesting yesterday to talk the whole day. And I hope we'll continue our cooperation in the future.
I can't believe you're asking me to summarize 8 hours of intense talking here. But
I didn't ask you
No,
to
no, no, no,
summarize,
I know,
but
no, no.
I'm curious about how we should proceed from here.
I think I think I speak for all my colleagues when I say we've come to the conclusion we need to set our sights more on the German-Romanian cooperation and how that comes across in our articles, because we've realized that we really have a target audience for this. Migration is a phenomenon, whether we like it or not, and we should write about it as much as we can. We have things to say about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, for sharing your ideas with us.
Thank you for having us.